That 1996, Prince Charles and Princess Diana got divorced. More than 4% of the UK population got internet access. Mitja Popovic, Serbian painter, died. And I moved to London and officially became a British Serb. My name is Maja Jordan. I was born in Belgrade, and my love for music led me to become a classical pianist. My other passion is promoting Serbia and Serbian culture, so I joined Serbian Council of Great Britain when it was founded in 2004 and have been an active member ever since. In the unusual circumstances in which we find ourselves in 2020, instead of self-isolating, the Serbian Council invites you to connect and share your story with others. We have different life experiences, but we have one thing in common. We were either born in Serbia or born in Britain but have Serbian origins, or are connected with Serbia in some way. So, what is your story? Let's find out what a couple story will reveal. Welcome! Dobrodošli na Čašicu razgovora. Among things suggested to everyone who comes to London to visit, we can find National Gallery, British Museum, British Library, London Eye, St. Paul's Cathedral, London Dungeon, and so many other things to see. Today, we are going to visit British Library. Of course, not in the usual way, how we would do it, but we have a help of our guest, Milan Grba. Milan, thank you very much for joining us today. And can you tell us how and when your life led you to become curator of Southeast European collection at British Library since 2007 until now?
I was born in a small and beautiful town in western Serbia called Užice, where my mother's family comes from. And I grew up and received my education in southern Serbia, in the city of Niš, and graduated in history from the University of Belgrade. I came to Britain in 1994-95 on a research leave for 6 months. Here in London, I met my future wife, and it took me a couple of years to permanently settle in Britain in 1998.
How your Serbian background influenced further your private and your professional life in Britain?
I grew up in a multinational and multilingual country, the former Yugoslavia, and being Serbian meant that I was born in Serbia, and that apart from my native country, I had a few more, my home countries, all of which formed the federal Yugoslavia. All those countries and places in and outside Serbia, I considered to be my countries, which we called by one common name, Yugoslavia. In school and at home, I was taught to be proud of my country, and back then I was, as I am now, proud to be Serbian. In my professional life, being Serbian was equally important. First, I got a job at the British Library as a Serbian, or a native from the Balkans, as a specialist and qualified the person for the job advertised in the library in 1999. As a Serbian, I was able to offer the knowledge of all South Slav languages, Bulgarian, Macedonian, Slovene, and Serbo-Croatian languages, in addition to my experience of working in a research institution and having skills acquired in my previous job as a curator at the Historical Museum of Serbia in Belgrade.
Very good to hear that being Serbian actually is advantage, like it is in the music also, which we heard in some previous interviews. Now, what we really want to hear is about British Library and collection of Southeastern European books. Can you please tell us how it came about and the history short of it and what we can expect there?
The acquisition of foreign books in general, including Serbian books, in the British Museum Library, the predecessor of the British Library, began in the mid-19th century and has continued from then to the present. Therefore, the old Serbian books were acquired for the library by purchase, exchange, and donation. The system of acquisition we continue today with the addition of electronic publications and content. Most interesting Serbian books for our users and for me are rare and old Serbian books, from the medieval manuscript books to early printed books. For example, the library holds the Gospels of Metropolitan Jakov of Ser, a manuscript book of great historical importance and artistic beauty, produced in the reign of Stefan Dusan. The Serbian Old Slavonic printed books are called Srbulje. The library holds a few of those, and it holds the first and last Srbulje. The first Serbian Old Slavonic book was printed in Cetinje, Montenegro in 1494, and it is called the Octoekos, Octoich, a book which took a year and 8 people to produce, and which was signed by its chief printer, the hieromonk Makarie. The last printed Srbulja, which the library holds, is a Psalter printed by Bartolomeo Ginami in Venice in 1638. These books are interesting for their uniqueness and as a first-class historical documents of exceptional importance and value. The British Library copy of the Octoekos is the only known Cyrillic incunabula in Britain. Books by Dositej Obradović, an 18th century Serbian writer, certainly fit into this category, and the library has the books which he donated personally in 1785. My favorite book in the collection is a dictionary compiled by Vuk Stefanović Karadžić, a Serbian philologist and a reformer of the Serbian literary language. The Serbian Dictionary, Srpski rječnik, is the first book printed in the new Serbian alphabet according to the new orthography. The dictionary was printed in 1818. This dictionary introduced 30 letters representing 30 sounds in the Serbian literary language, and in it, Karadžić published over 26,000 words as he remembered them. This was a trilingual Serbian, German, Latin dictionary produced in collaboration with Bartolomeus, or in Slovene, Jernej Kopitar. The entries in the Serbian dictionary represented all the genres of the national oral tradition, and some entries had encyclopedic, ethnographic, and historiographical format and character. So these are my favorite books and the way to introduce the British Library Serbian collections to you.
Thank you very much for such a detailed explanation what we could expect. A part of events which are happening regularly in British Library. Who are other people who are coming to particularly this section that you are working at?
Our audiences are researchers from academia, creative industries and media, students, lifelong learners, and members of the general public. Our job in the library is to select books, connect and look after the collections, to promote them, open them up for our users, and make them available as widely as possible on site, in our reading rooms, and remotely using new technologies and social media. The public can see the collections in our permanent and temporary exhibitions. Books cannot be borrowed or consulted outside our reading rooms, but the library with external partners have digitized over 600,000 books and tens of millions of newspapers and serials pages, and everything is freely available via our online catalogs, and much more of our content is accessible via our website for school children, students, researchers, and the general public. I am personally fully committed to new audiences and users, and through my own programs, such as This Is Your Library or the South Slavs and Britain, I am trying to promote our collections for new audiences and readers. A good example of this engagement is the panel discussion, Crnjanski and London, a public event the library held in partnership with the Serbian Council of Great Britain, just before the lockdown on the 9th of March this year. Miloš Crnjanski was a Serbian writer who lived as an exile in London from 1941 to 1965. So the public can see the library collection in many different ways, not only as registered readers, but also as members of the public, and organized viewings are possible by appointment with curators. Everyone can apply for a free reader's pass and use our collections in the reading rooms in St. Pancras in London or in Boston Spa in Yorkshire.
So since that there is many ways that we can come or find out what is there, and I think that the online versions are really a big step forward for everybody, considering our busy lives that we all have, and traveling in the far distances. As you obviously have been active member of our community organizing events which are connected with the Serbian culture, and we have seen you in many other events, and thank you for doing all that for us. Are you more Serbian or more British now living in the Britain? Are you following Serbian customs or not so much anymore?
I do indeed mix with the Serbian community in Britain, and my main contacts and sources of information are the Serbian Council, the Serbian Church in London, and the Serbian Embassy. I also have many personal contacts with members of the Serbian community in this country. I can't say that I am an active member of the Serbian community, but I do try to keep in touch and stay informed of the news and events in the community. Sadly, many members of the first generation, which arrived during and after the Second World War as displaced persons, are not among us anymore, but it always feels good to remember them at appropriate events in the community. The Serbian community is very lucky to have had as its member Nenad Petrovic, who arrived in Britain in 1947 as a so-called European voluntary worker and was an active member of the Serbian community. His main legacy is his diary, which he was writing every day for 64 years. In total, there are over 23,000 entries for as many days in his diary from 1944 to 2008. This diary, neatly written in Serbian Cyrillic, of which a digital copy is held at the British Library, is a personal record, an intimate life story, and a witness account of day-to-day life in Britain, and long and detailed chronicle of an emigre community life in the second half of the 20th century and the beginning of the 21st century. Unlike for us, I can say that for our emigre community, unlike the first emigre community, the recent one is very lucky to be able to enjoy free and relatively cheap travel new technologies and free and easy ways of communication on social media, to stay in touch with each other and with the loved ones at home. All this has made it easy for us to feel at home away from home. In answer to your question, I call home both Britain and Serbia, and I'm very, very lucky and very grateful to be in such a position.
Yeah, we all have the doubts when he's saying, I'm going there, or I'm going here, and what is there, and what is here, and what is really our home. When we are in England, we say, I'm going home, going to Belgrade, or when we are in Belgrade, we say, I'm going home to England. So unless we consider we are lucky to have two homes, we are left in confusion, actually, not having home at all, a proper one. But it's a personal choice how you look at this question. Now, are you celebrating Slavas, or do you have double Christmases as everybody else, or is it your family Serbian? Is it your wife Serbian, or she's British maybe? Or
I do indeed celebrate all our festivals, personal festivals, and national holidays, and religious holidays, and so on. My wife is Serbian, and at home we speak Serbian, and our daughter is bilingual. We celebrate with our friends Orthodox Christmas on the 7th of January, and also every Serbian family has a patron saint. Our patron saint is Saint Nicholas, which we celebrate every year.
that's mine also, Saint Nicholas, and they said that is the most celebrated Slava or patron in Belgrade. They said that whole Belgrade is almost celebrating Saint Nicholas, and Saint Nicholas is actually protecting travelers. So it's actually good choice. Although the choice is not really on us but on our family, because it goes from generation to generation. And for those which don't know, it's really to your father's family is passed to next generation, and we all love it, obviously. Not just as a religious thing, but as a tradition, really, which I see that tradition really goes on, regardless are you religious or not, altogether. Now, talking about English customs, are you drinking tea, like afternoon teas? Does British Library offers afternoon teas, like expected to be, or not anymore?
Oh, absolutely. We have coffee and tea breaks at any time we like. The library is very liberal place, as this country is in general. And yes, we enjoy our tea and coffee breaks. I drink tea and coffee.
Yeah, do you know maybe how that custom afternoon tea came about and when it came about? Or you are not sure?
I don't know the background of it, but
Okay,
it's a long tradition in
it's something
England.
that I
We
can
have an afternoon tea.
It's something that I can be proud that I know, because your knowledge is really impressive. So afternoon tea came about in 1840s, so in the 19th century, and at the beginning that was just a private social event for ladies which want to join society, so kind of step forward to join society. But then Queen Victoria, she actually took it as an official custom, and since then now we have this custom of afternoon tea. Now, have you been brave straight away to pour milk in your tea? Or you've been waiting for a while, because Serbs say we drink tea only when we are ill. So have you been brave one, or you've been waiting and been cautious to pour milk into it?
I like milk in my tea, and I admit I did know that this tradition was a Victorian one. I thought I would have said that it was earlier tradition than Victorian. So this is new to me. Thank you, Maya, for telling me this. It's
explanation to your knowledge.
Very interesting, and I guess I drink tea the British way. Yes, as I drink my coffee Serbian way.
Yeah. Actually, I'm kind of completely Western. I drink tea with the milk, and I drink more cafe latte and all this. As our story is called Cup of Stories, but we can talk also about cup of coffee or tea because that is where all chitty chats come about. When we can find lots of things interesting, like today. Very
Yes,
good.
yes, you know, Maya, I make my coffee in this little pot called jezva.
Yes, you can
And
explain to others who don't know about it. What is a jazva? It really reminds us
jezva
of
is
history.
yes, jezva is a little pot that is in use in in the Balkans or in Orient. For example, in Turkey, I know it's in use. Of course, in Greece and in Mediterranean, in some countries, possibly in Northern Africa. I haven't been there, so I can't testify for that. So it's a little pot where you put water, you bring it up to boil, and then you put coffee in, and that's how you make your perfect Bosnian, Turkish, Serbian, whatever you want to call it, coffee. I like coffee brewed made that way. So this is we have a few jezvas at home, and that's how we drink our coffee, our
Yeah.
Serbian coffee.
When you're saying about the names, we in Serbia we do call it really Turkish coffee. When somebody offers would like Turkish coffee or Nescafe or something. But I lived in Cyprus for a while, and they would not call it Turkish coffee. They call it Greek
No.
coffee. But all this exactly the same thing, and it's exactly the same way. Although they make it really sweet comparing with the Serbs. We are a bit. Uh, we don't have so much sugar inside. So I couldn't complain to my boss making me such a sweet coffee. So I was drinking it for years, and I don't know why I never told him that I actually prefer with less sugar. But I was very young then, so I didn't want to intervene in that. Are you going to Serbia a lot or occasionally? And which places you like to visit when you go?
I do travel to Serbia. I like to visit places that I haven't visited before, and there are so many of such places to visit in Serbia because I think Serbia is incredibly beautiful country. But unlike other beautiful countries in the world, Serbia is very interesting, varied, and a fun place. It has wonderfully amusing, enchanting, and interesting people and places, and it is yet to be discovered. It is the country where my family and friends live, and I just want to be more with them, not less. So when I travel to Serbia, I travel to my cities and places. I go to Belgrade, I go to Niš, to Užice, but I do try to visit other places as well. Um, Also, I like to go to Montenegro, where my father's family is from. I love Montenegro equally. So yes, we don't have much time in full employment to spend there, but probably after in retirement, I'll be spending much more time with friends and family, visiting new places, interesting places in Serbia.
Yeah, one of the places which I definitely want to see is Djavoja Varoš or Devil's Town because actually I paid more attention to that when it was nominated for one of the wonders. Didn't win, but still was in the very tight competition. And since then I started to learn about a few other places. When you see all these beautiful pictures about Uvac Canyon, and there are so many places that we haven't seen. It's that typical when you live somewhere, it's always time to see it. So you always rush to visit other places, like to go abroad. Also, like living in England, we haven't seen all of the places, and mostly when tourists come and visitors come, then we take them to places which we could see so many times, but we haven't really. What would be your favorite place in England that you would kind of suggest people from Serbia to come to visit? Apart of these typical things like British Library, British Museum. Is it any other place that you would suggest?
Oh, absolutely. So many great places in England. Southwest England, Cornwall is wonderful. Devon areas. most beautiful places in England. Also in Yorkshire, Lake District as well, so in Cumbria, closer to London home counties. There are beautiful places in southeast England, Norwich area, wonderful places. There are hundreds of them. Really, any place you go in England, or indeed Ireland or Scotland, Wales, the green landscapes and beautiful countryside. Equally amazing cities. London is a city of many wonders, and other cities as well, like Norwich, Leeds, Oxford, Cambridge, and so on, Bristol. I can carry on for a very long time listing those places, and would conclude that really any place you go to England, you really enjoy it. There are Britain is a tourist place, and you can find anything you like, culture, nature, tourist attractions, and so on.
So obviously England is a very tempting place for others to come to see when they listen your explanation, but also Serbia on the other side is a very tempting place. So we have to spend more time traveling, obviously.
Absolutely.
Because it's so much to see, not just in these two countries, but at the moment we are really concentrating on these two countries. So we better hurry up, I guess, before the next lockdown starts. Although I really hope that we will pass this stage of it. Milan, thank you very much. It was very inspiring talk and very informative and educational. So definitely makes me to plan my visit to the British Library. And especially thank you for telling us about the diary that our dear Nana wrote. I didn't know that it's available to read. I heard about it, but I will be one to come to really hear the story how it was before, because one of the why we do these interviews at the moment is to find out behind the screen, behind the official jobs and names, what really we are British Serbs and how our life here in England is. Thank you very much, and we are looking forward for some next event, hopefully organized in British Library. If not, could be virtual one. We find out what will bring.
You're welcome, Maya. Thank you for having me in your program. It's been a privilege and an honor to be with you today. And I invite you and your listeners and the viewers to come at any time in the British Library. I can conclude that we have over 40,000 Serbian titles in hundreds thousands of items, and there is so much to explore, to research, and to read. So you're welcome anytime. The library is open, and it is free at the point of using it. It is anyone can apply for a free reader's pass, or come to our exhibitions, or just public spaces, open spaces where you can have coffee, relax, read your books, use internet, and so on. So everyone is welcome. The British Library is your library.
Thank you very much.